Fountain Hall. It assumed that name when Morris Brown took over the property, but it was Stone Hall when Du Bois was here at Atlanta University. His office would have been on the top floor. The window you see in the closest to the first one to the right. That's where Du Bois's office was at that time. We'll come back to that in a second. Of course, we talked about Washington yesterday, and Washington and Bois have been historically linked, right? Generally because of the critique, but they actually had some interaction. Du Bois was born in Barrington, Massachusetts. Has a different, if you read Washington's autobiography, he talks about how he was up from slavery, right? He was a person who was enslaved. But Du Bois had a different path, a different history. He was educated at Fisk University. He also was one of the first black people, first African Americans to receive a PhD from Harvard. He was the first African American to receive a PhD from Harvard, right? So he has quite a different background. He comes here in 1897 to Atlanta University. At the point he comes here, he's already a noted scholar. He's already written one of the first sociological studies in the United States, the Philadelphia Negro, right? And so he's a very important scholar. We'll talk a little bit more about Du Bois. Let's look at this passage that Tim gives us from the Souls of Black Folk and see what Du Bois saw when he looks out the window and kind of look at Du Bois's perspective of education, and we'll kind of contrast that with Washington for a second. Who wants to volunteer to read this passage?